Hello everybody, Matteo here, and welcome in my RC garage. Thanks for watching this video. All the components like axles, transmission, links and dampers for the Gmade Buffalo are finished. And now we can start with the assembly of the chassis. Step 36 is the installation of the steering servo on the servo holder. For steering I use this waterproof LW25mg from Power HD. 25 kilograms of torque should be enough. I have it connected to the radio to get the neutral position. Now I can install the servo horn. And it looks good. On the back side of the servo horn I have to insert a nut and then I can screw on the ball head. I'm ready now to install it on the servo holder. Here you can see the steering servo is installed. Step 37 is the build of the chassis rails. First I screw on the damper stay with a cross member to one of the rails. Next, this holder has to be screwed on. And in front the servo holder together with the damper stay. Then I can install the second rail on the other side. In the center I have to add the skid plate on the correct place. Next I can screw on the parts in front to the chassis rail. Now I install the rear end part and tighten the screws. And now, also in front, I can install the bumper holder. So, the basic frame of the chassis is done. Step 38 is the installation of the chassis side plates and holder for the shifting servo. First the servo holder. And then I can screw on the parts. Here it is. Step 39 is the assembly of the front drive shafts. On the small grab screw I use a bit of thread lock. Then insert it only a bit. On the axle shaft I add a bit of grease and insert the part with the grab screw. I have to check that the hole is on the correct position. Then I add the joint cup and insert a pin. The shaft sleeve holds the pin in place. Now I can tighten the small grab screw. And I fix the shaft sleeve with another screw. On this I use also a bit of thread lock. Step 40 is to do the same on the rear axle. And I have it already done on the same way. Step 41 is the build of the other drive shafts and install them on the gearbox. The assembly is the same and I have already done it. Now I can install the universals on the gearbox shafts. Also this screw needs a bit of thread lock. And here both universals are installed. Step 42 is to bring the complete transmission together with the chassis. Now I see this fits not perfectly because the cables of the motor are on a bad position. So I need to take out the motor again and turn it a bit to get the cables on a more apart position. As you can see, this is done, and now it fits perfectly. I can screw on the transmission with 2 screws from underneath. And here 2 more screws from the side. The transmission is installed. Step 43 is the installation of the receiver box on the 2 holders. Step 44 is to install the front links on the chassis. First the lower links. And here the upper link. Step 45 is the installation of the rear links to the chassis. Here are the lower links. And here the upper links. Here you can see all links are installed. Step 46 is the installation of the front axle. First I screw on the upper link. Then I add the center part of the drive shaft. Bring the lower links in position and screw them on. Step 47 is the installation of the rear axle. First the upper links. Then complete the drive shaft and install the lower links. Step 48 is the installation of the panhard bar. First I install it on the chassis. And then on the axle. Step 49 is to add the steering rods. First the cross rod, and on the other side together with the steering rod. Finally press the ball connector onto the ball head on the servo horn. And here you can see steering rods, links and axles are installed. Step 50 is to install the left inner fender in front. It holds with 2 screws. Step 51 is the left inner fender at the rear. To install this, we have to use a nut from the inside. Step 52 and 53 is the installation of the inner fenders on the right side. It is exactly the same, and I have already done it. Step 54 is the installation of the cross member between the inner fenders in front. First, I have to insert some nuts here. Then I can screw it on. But here again, a small problem with the cables. I think it's not so sexy how the part touches the motor cables. So I remove the part again and I make a bit more space for the cables with the Dremel. Now I like it more. Step 55 is to install this cross member at the rear, and I have it already done. Step 56 is the installation of the dampers in front. First, a spacer. Then the bulb connector, and screw it on top. And screw on the bottom on the axle. Step 57 is the installation of the dampers at the rear. It's the same as in front and already done. Step 58 is to add the rock sliders. Step 59 is the installation of the shifting servo for the 2-speed transmission. I use this servo from D-Power. It's waterproof and it's 10 kilos of torque. It's more as enough for the shifting function. First, I have connected the servo to my radio and programmed my Futaba T4PM to use this switch for the gear shift. Now I can build the servo saver. As next, I can install it on the servo. I have to find the correct position. Now it looks good. Then I insert the spring, the cap, and screw it on. Now I can install the servo on the chassis. As you can see, the position at the end point is not correct to be able to connect the linkage. So I'm going to use the end point adjuster for the third channel on my radio to bring the servo horn to the correct position. Now I'm able to screw on the linkage. I have made this endpoint adjustment on the other side as well, so that the gear shift works properly and the servo is not overloaded. And so you can see the shifting function works very well. Step 60 and 61 is the installation of the electronics and battery holder. The battery holder can be built for small battery packs or standard size batteries. But because of the short cables of the Xeron X, it's difficult to install the battery here crosswise. But a few pages later in the manual there is an alternative layout for the electronics explained, and I will go this way. But first I build the battery holder. It have to be screwed together with nuts. And then the size can be adjusted. Now I install the battery holder where the receiver box was before. Then I add a Velcro band on the battery holder to complete it. I fix the speed controller with double-sided tape beside the shifting servo. The receiver box is now located here on the other side, and I install the cables on the cover to get it good sealed. Now I can add a rubber O-ring and close the receiver box. And here you can see all electronics are installed and the chassis is finished. Next are the wheels. Step 62 is to insert the foam inserts. GS02F63 is the build of the beadlock wheels. Be careful, the inner part is not symmetrical. So, insert it on the correct orientation and add the inner and outer ring. Be sure to align all holes to be able to insert the screws. First I inserted 2 longer screws, and later these screws can be replaced with normal length screws. And tighten the screws crosswise to get an equal pressure over the whole wheel. Step 65 and 66 is the installation of the wheels. First, the pin to the axle, and then the wheel hex. And then I can add the wheel and screw it on with a nut. So here you can see the completed chassis. The next step is the build of the body, the paint job and so on. Stay tuned to see this in one of my next videos. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And please give me a thumbs up if you liked this video. Thanks for watching and see you soon.